Heard about coding agents, and you've kind of seen videos where people generate a whole application just from a short prompt, but you might be wondering how they kind of work in the background. So what we'll do is I can give it like a quick demo from VS Code. This is a tool called Cline, which sits within the IDE, and it's pretty clever because I can give it quite a small prompt like create a hello world program in Rust. Okay. Now the beauty of this, it's not just going to give me the code. It's actually going to kind of pop up open windows with the code. So as you can see right there, which is what it's done. And then if I like it, yeah, looks good to me. Or actually make it hello world 2, because we're better than that, right? In fact, you can see my typo's gone straight through to the code. It's having a good think about it. It's gone back to, so this is actually connected to OpenAI using my API key. So I think it's using GPT 4.0. And then you can see it's come back with the code. So let's save that. It's having another little think about it. And at some point, it should figure out that it's finished. You can see here, actually, it keeps track of my costs. So it's saying that it's cost 25 cents. I hope it hasn't actually, because I do pay for a key. In fact, we're at 31 cents now. So you can see, we're paying actually. Okay, we get all of this code generated, but we're paying for that. Okay, so it's happy, it's finished. It wants asking if I want to start a new task. But let's kind of go up and see what actually happened in the background. So here's the GitHub repo for Cline. And what's interesting to me, because I was having a look around trying to figure out what's going on actually, and we can have a look through what files that's using actually. And this, uh, you're probably aware that when you're talking to an LLM, you've kind of got your prompt, and there's also a system prompt. This is usually set by the software behind the scenes, and this is what's happening in this case. So Cline has a system prompt. This PR is about splitting that system prompt into many files. You can see that quite a lot goes on just I mean, you want to create a small JavaScript hello world, but in the background, it's going away and sending quite a lot of information to ChatGPT. So let's have a little look what's going on actually. So it's saying that the instructions are organized in a modular way. Okay. Tool use. You have access to a set of tools that are executed upon the user's approval. Now, what it means by this is, for example, when you saw it open a file in VS Code, it has the ability to create files. And what it does is it says to ChatGPT, uh, if you want to create a file, send back a command in this format for the name of the file you want to create. And, what happens then is this response to the prompt comes back from ChatGPT, and Cline is clever enough to go through and pick out the commands and then execute the commands on behalf of ChatGPT. So this is like a conversation that's going on between the two of them. We can execute commands. So for example, if you say create a hello world program and then delete it, it's actually going to like run rm-rf to delete the folder again. Now, Cline's pretty clever because what it will do is the system prompt includes like a dump of your file structure. And from that, it can go away and read some of those files if it wants to try and figure out how best to answer the prompt that you've given it. So for example, if you're working with a prompt that's just create me a brand new application, in a way, to me, that sounds like the easiest thing for Cline to do because it only needs to be aware of what it creates. It doesn't need to be aware of what you've already created. But if it does need to be aware of what you've already created, i.e., you're working on a pre existing code base, then it's going to call this a lot and go away and pick out certain files to try and figure out what's going on. Same here, write to file commands. So you can see all of this is going to system prompt. There's a lot that goes in. Okay. Browser action. So you may have seen examples where people generate code and then something runs up in the browser, and that's how this happens. So we say to ChatGPT, okay, you have the ability to run the browser, and it tells it how it should ask for the browser to run. And of course, these will come back as commands, which Cline will then execute. Asking follow-up questions, attempt completion, not sure what that is. Tool use examples. Okay, so we've told ChatGPT what tools it can use, and then here we've got a whole bunch of examples, a whole bunch of guidelines. I mean, this is a huge system prompt. Capabilities. Okay, you can go on the command line, list files, so on and so on and so on. You've got browser capabilities. Now a whole bunch of rules. And it keeps going and it keeps going. This bit's interesting. So this gets populated by Cline and tells ChatGPT what your operating system is and your default shell and so on. So then it knows, for example, if you're on Windows, it's going to tell you it's going to run Windows commands and not Unix commands. So I hope that helps you see what goes on in the background. So when you say to Cline, create me a hello world in JavaScript, there's this huge prompt that gets added to your prompt, and this is sent off to ChatGPT. This is why these things can be pretty expensive to run, actually. So there are certain techniques that you need to do to get the software working the best, for Cline to work the best on your repo, and that's something I'm going to discuss in another video. Thanks.